Most Africans are asking a very fundamental question about the President of the Republic of Kenya, His Excellency William Samoei Arap Ruto. And the question has always been, what is he doing traversing the whole world over, trying to talk to various world leaders? And this is my take on the issue. President William Samoei Ruto alichukua uongozi wa nchi hii ya Kenya katika uchaguzi wa mwaka wa 2022 Agosti. It was not a legitimate win, and most people could see and tell that his win was not a legitimate win. The world over, very many people, despite a very well strategized propaganda campaign that tried to make him seem as legitimately elected as possible, many people who were intelligent could see behind the lie. And that is to ask the question, William Samoei Ruto has visited so many foreign countries, had talks with so many foreign leaders, presidents, prime minister, all sorts of titles, and he has always performed on one issue, and that is his speeches. Anybody who has known Kenyan politics knows that there is no one who is as smooth a speaker in Kenyan politics as William Samoei Ruto. Yani, Ruto ni mtu anaweza simama mbele ya watu aseme exactly what people want to hear. He knows how to resonate with his audience, wherever he is. And he knows how to sell himself to the audience. So even when he goes to the environmental meetings or the climate, whatever, agricultural meetings, yeah, Pan-Africanism, which was the latest in South Africa, he knows how to deliver in his speeches. But the problem comes when it comes to the implementation of what he says. So my take is that William Samoei Ruto has been on a mission to sanitize his name and stamp his image to the world as the President of the Republic of Kenya. This is because he knows that many of the world leaders and many of the people in the world who are closely following Kenyan politics saw the outright attempt to disparage democracy. We are not stupid bana. Watu sio wajinga. Chebukati could have thought that he was able to lie to everybody. Even the Supreme Court, in stamping the win, they might have thought that we have done it. But many people could see through that lie. And that is why today William Samoei Ruto is doing everything possible, even when he should be staying in the country and trying to make sure that Kenya remains on the right track. I mean, we don't want our president to go out there delivering nice speeches about Pan-Africanism. We want him home, living Pan-Africanism. Because the spirit of Pan-Africanism is loving your motherland, your country, developing your country so that your country is independent and financially stable. Because that is all we Africans in the entire continent. That is what we want. That is what we are struggling to attain today. And this is to also tell all Pan-Africanists out there. We don't need your nice speeches. We don't need your beautiful dreams about all these other issues. We can become one country. We can become all these other issues. We need to start growing our financial basis, because that is all that we need to start from. America was never the great country that we know today until it started from a financial standpoint. Britain never became Britain as we know it today until it started from a financial standpoint. Rome was never Rome until it started the financial journey. Even the most ancient of kingdoms, think about the Persians, and the Medes and all those other kinds of ancient kingdoms. They were never anything strong without financial freedom, financial muscle. And that is what we as Africans need to be building for ourselves. But our beautiful president, His Excellency. And sometimes unajua nafikirianga vitu zingine and I'm like, why do we use these words? Your Excellency is not just a name that we should give to anybody just because they're president, bana. Or even your honorable just because somebody is an MP or an MCA or governor or whatever other positions that these people acquire. It should be a name that these people earn, not by holding an office, but by using an office. Yeah, that's my thoughts. So William Samoei Ruto today is struggling to sell himself to the world as, mimi ndio rais wa hiyo nchi mnasikianga ya Kenya. Najua mmesikia kuna story mingi ati uchaguzi uliibiwa Kenya. But whatever the case, I am the president of the Republic of Kenya and you have to work with me or work without me or work without Kenya. And that is practically the message he's out there telling everybody. That is why he's jetting from Germany to South Africa, from all over the world, meeting Italian PMs and all these other people, the British, the Americans. It is in a very deliberate propaganda campaign to come out as the legitimate president of the Republic of Kenya. And the world will buy that, yes. But today's Kenya is very fragile, still very fragile, because most of us as the people of the Republic of Kenya are still struggling. And we're not struggling to accept that he is president. We are struggling financially. You can break a man's heart. You can break a man's heart, even his legs, but his stomach, it's wise not to touch it. That is why even the wickedest of rulers who have been known to torture people have always kept their prisoners fed. No matter whether they are well fed or poorly fed, but they are fed. Today most Kenyans are struggling to make a living. And it's not just Kenyans, but Africans in general. We have become this kind of people who are so nice in speeches, in manners, but in actions, that's where we draw the line. And that is our president in reality. William Ruto akichukua microphone aongee mahali popote, akisimama mbele ya watu, very refined speeches, no mistake. Ukimsikiza, if you are not very careful, you will think that this man is a genius bana, until you look behind the scenes and you realize that he says what he never means, and he means what he never said. So when he says that I am going to make the economy, I am going to bring the price of unga down in 6 months time, now 6 months are yet to come down, he will say what he doesn't mean. He will talk about judicial autonomy, making sure that the judiciary becomes independent, but in the background he is working to control it. Kenyans, this is to you. I know life is not easy, but don't be led on a tribal trajectory like we have been for many years. Tumeambiwa mambo mingi ya kikabila, tumegawanyishwa, tumefanywa Wakale, Wakikuyu, Wajaluo, Wamasai, Wapokot, Sabaot. Tumegawanyishwa into so many fragments that we cannot be able to stand up together and say that this is what we want. And the country will never become anything better than we are today until the point we will shut those tribal voices and say in one united voice that we are Kenyans and Kenya is our business. And when we say that, we also need to be very wary of people who will call themselves Kenyans, but deep down in their hearts, like one man who was the Attorney General in the Kenyatta times, in the name of Charles Jonjo. He had a very black skin, a very African skin, but his heart was British. That is why even in his manner of dressing, he was British. His kind of parties, his kind of talk was British. Until we become Kenyans in our hearts, Kenya will never become anything. We can be able to stand as one nation. We can be able to fight together. But for that to happen, we must realize our goals. And that is to become Kenyans, not fragments of Kenya. Until we stop talking about Kikuyu and talk about Kenya, until we stop talking about the Kalenjin and start talking about Kenya, until we stop talking about the Somali and talk about Kenya, we can never become anything. And I repeat, we can never become anything beyond what we are. Na ninataka kila mtu aelewe that most of us are in trouble, and most of African countries are in trouble, because what is happening in Kenya is happening in almost each and every one African state out there. Think about Sudan. Think about South Sudan. Think about Uganda and Museveni. Think about Zimbabwe. Africa. Sometimes I sit down and ask myself, who bewitched us? That even those of us who are doing the best, like Botswana, Botswana is quite a united country, but they're not doing so well. What is it that we lack? Think about Nigeria with all her riches. the Democratic Republic of Congo, with all her natural resources, Namibia and all her beautiful desert. We are Africans, and Africa should become our business. Let us stand together, and maybe we can make something out of ourselves. This is Mkenya TV. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Peace. Pamoja.